to the Laughter for All podcast. We're going to have a great show tonight. My guest is a friend of mine that I haven't seen in 20 years. He's a comedian from the East Coast. He's very funny. He's a producer. He produces a show called The Comic Genius, and he's also a creative artist. He works for a TV network, and we're going to talk. So join us on the Laughter for All podcast with my friend, Comedian Coy.
Welcome to Laughter for All. It's the podcast with Comedian Nazareth.
Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Laughter for All podcast. I am Comedian Nazareth, and thank you for joining me in this almost summer, May 2024, May 14th to be exact. I don't know when May started, and I don't know why we're almost halfway through it, but just to update, I just got back from South Dakota. I was there on Friday night. I did a show for a ministry called TRE3, and it's for young adults from age 18 to age 30. So it's a very interesting ministry because, big churches like Crossroads and other churches, mega churches, they have their own group, like all young adults group. But when you have a small church and several small churches in the area, they don't have a college and career group. So this ministry is for all these different churches with the young adults coming together. They came in, they had a barbecue, they played some games, and then I got to share. And I'll tell you what, I was a little nervous in the beginning because it's been a long time since I did a group of the same age. You know what I mean? Like mostly my audience between age 8 to 98. But to get a group that mostly in their early 20s, I was a little nervous, but boom, you know what? Funny is funny. They laughed. We had a great time. And I think the most laughter they got is when I asked the guy what's his name, and he said Jonah, and I shook his hand, and I go, your hands are still wet. And I thought nothing of it, and they died laughing. It's funny. I mean, I just throw it out. I go, I don't know if they get it, but they did. So it was funny. So, and then Saturday night, I did a show, a big show for First Baptist in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and it was beautiful. We had a great time. People loved it. And then on Sunday morning, I did two services. One is they call it the classic service, the conservative service, and then the second one is the contemporary. Two different places in the same church, but it was great. We had a great time. The Lord was glorified and magnified. So that's what the goal from whatever I do. I shared a message about basic Christianity, and it was great. So praise God for that. Came home on Sunday night, and Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. And uh, what happened? Let's see. Uh, it was Sioux Falls is really interesting. It's a beautiful city that is growing so fast. So if some of you are going, where should I move to? You don't have to go to Nashville or Dallas. Sioux Falls is beautiful and it's growing fast and it's cheap for now until Californians start moving there and then boom. So that's what it is. Let's see, what am I doing? In next week, I'm doing a private event in Orange County. The week after, I'm going to be at a singles group in Orange County as well. Check my website. And on June 8th, I'll be at Night Vision with Matthew West and several other artists. I think Jordan Feliz and others. So check out Night Vision. And then on Saturday, I will be in Twin Falls at uh, Idaho at the Nazarene Church 100-year anniversary, centennial anniversary. I'm doing comedy for them. So that's what I'm at for now. On July 20th, we're going to have our Laughter for All at the La Mirada Theater for the Performing Arts. So if you want to be part of that, if you want to get free tickets, go to laughterforall.org and get your tickets. If you want to volunteer, donate, sponsor, whatever you want to do, join us. We're already got 500 tickets already gone. It is a free event. Now you can buy a ticket if you want to donate. You can VIP. you can do that. But if you just want to come and laugh with your family and you go, Nazareth, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or Nazareth, I cannot afford to go to a concert or a comedy club, that's what's the Laughter for All is all about. We want you to come, you and your family enjoy a free show on us. Joining me will be comedian Sizzle C, will be variety act Michael Rayner. He's amazing, been all the night shows, and also a young comedian called uh, Tyson Grossman, who was with me a couple weeks ago on the podcast. He's going to be I'm flying him to California. He's going to be joining us as well. So it's going to be a full comedy show. Come down, invite your unsafe friends, and all that. A little update for you guys. My family in the Gaza Strip. Remember, I asked you guys to help with trying to get him out of the Rafah border. Well, we got the money to get him out. But then what happened is Israel invaded the Rafah border and, it's closed. There's no way they can. There's fighting right now in the southern part of Gaza, which is the Rafah border. Also, where they're still hiding is in the church in Gaza City at the I think it's a Catholic church, not the Greek Orthodox church, one of the two churches. But they're hiding in the churches there, and there is bombing, and there's firing over there, very close to them. So keep them in prayer. Nothing can happen right now. They can't go anywhere. No one can come out. So until something happens, I'll keep you updated. But whoever gave money to that, your money is still in the account. It can go back to you if we're able to get them out safely. Okay, that's what it is. Enough of that. I have a friend. He's been waiting. He's from the East Coast. His name is Coy, and let me introduce him. This guy, I worked with him, or we were together at a Christian Comedy Association long time ago. Very funny guy, very creative, very different. He's clean. He's a producer and a show creator. He said what inspires him most when making his audience laugh is that his witness is a gift from God. He worked with Sinbad, Chris Tucker, Mark Lowry, and he is. He just take the simple things of life and just makes fun of it. He loves to he began making people laugh while riding the bus in New York. He's from New York originally, and not only he's limited to churches. He started in churches, but he does colleges like UCLA, Howard University in DC, and he was the second runner-up to the Boston International Boston Comedy Festival. Out of 200 people, he was second, and he's a very funny guy. Please welcome to the show, my friend Coy. Can I say your last name? Hello, Coy.
Hey, what's going on there, Naz? It's good to see
Hey, I love your energy, man. Uh,
you.
can we use your last name, or there's like legal issues now?
No, it's Lasan. Yeah,
Lausanne. I love
yeah,
that. Is
Boy
that
Lasan.
French?
It's if you want it to be Naz, if you want it to be, it could be
If I
whatever
wanted
you.
to,
Nah, it's just it's one of the names that my mother named me. It's and I said, what do you say? Shouldn't that be your last name? Well, it's my stage name, and it's my IEN, my business name. But Koy Lasan is what I go by.
Coy Lausanne. I love
Yeah,
that. And so right now, you're in Maryland, right?
I'm in the state of Maryland, as they say. The DMV is the other word that they use to describe both the DC area, the Maryland area, and the Virginia area. So it's kind of all connected. We're not that far from each other. So they call it the DMV, but I am in Maryland.
And Maryland. But you were originally from New York, right?
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Uh-huh.
You notice
It's
the
coming
accent
out. It's
change
coming
there?
out.
Huh?
The accent is coming out. Uh,
Yeah.
and you said you started doing comedy in the buses, like telling jokes on a bus, or what happened? When did you find out, like, I have this gift?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I it was Arsenio Hall that kind of inspired me at the time. He had his show, Roo, 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 Roo.
Yep, I
And
remember.
he had this monologue. In his monologue, he would have this joke called "Things That Make You Go, Hmm." And I
Hmm.
said, that's easy. I can come up with stuff like that. So I came up with my own things that make you go, hmm. And I said, you know what? I want to try this in a local talent show. And I told my mother I was going to do it. She was like, why are we going to do that? And I came back, Nazareth, with the first place trophy. And that
Wow.
right there was like, ooh, that was kind of good the first time out, right? So then
Right.
I was like, wow, and I was looking at other comedians at the time, like you had mentioned, Mark Lowry and everybody. And then of course Sinbad. I got to see Sinbad live.
Mm.
Keep praying for him. He's trying to recover from that stroke. But
Yes.
I saw Sinbad live, and I'm telling you, Nazareth, he had to do at least 1 hour just off the audience alone, no material. I was blown away. And I said, wow, I want to do that. And he was, of course, clean comic.
Oh yeah, he's
Like,
clean.
I want to do that. So that just kind of stirred things up. And, at the time, I'm from a military background. And so we were moving a little bit here and there, not too many places, but we
Mm.
actually moved back to New York. And then I really went hard. So I was born in New York. I left New York, went a couple places, then we moved back, and I was more of an adult. And that's when I started hitting a lot of different areas, Nazareth. And it was such a challenge because as a clean comedian, I'm in Brooklyn. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in Harlem. Okay. You know what I
Ouch.
mean? So it was tough, but look, it put hair on my chest, and I maintained my own, and nobody could touch me. I was definitely a clean comic with the New York attitude. Can we say that?
We can say that. But you know what? That's what makes you unique. You stand out for that. And being in Harlem and doing clean comedy and still making the people laugh. I mean, how old were you when you started doing the club?
I was in my 20s. I was in my 20s, probably in college,
Uh-huh.
just coming out of college. And so I was definitely, you know, a young guy, you know what I mean? But
Right.
that didn't stop me. And then, of course, a friend of mine that was pulling me into the church. And at the time, Times Square Church is where she attended.
Oh, really? Is that with
Yeah,
Dave Wilkerson, right?
that's right.
Youth?
Dave Wilkinson was
I love
that's
him.
right. So she was like, come on, visit. Come on, come on. I was like, no. I got at this club, and I'll be staying out 2 a.m. Nazareth doing these clubs and all this kind of stuff. And I just didn't have time. So one day I just said, you know what, because I was raised in the church, Nazareth.
Okay, that's what it was. I was going to ask you that. You were raised in the
I
church.
was raised in the church, and then I got saved. So
That's
so she kind of reeled me back in, and before you know it, Nazareth, here I am on the choir. You know what I'm saying? At Times Square Church,
wow.
singing baritone. You know what I mean? So I said, you know what? Let me see if I can do this for the church. And
And
I tried it out, and it was a little interesting because, Nazareth, as you know, sometimes you feel like you have to be a certain way. And no one told me. I didn't have any mentorship at the time. So I was like, well, maybe I got to cater to them. And it just didn't work. So then
mm,
when I decided, you know what, I'm just going to be me. And guess what? It
it worked.
worked.
It worked.
It
Now,
worked.
you trying to tell me that you did comedy at Times Square Church where Dave Wilkerson was the pastor because he was very conservative.
I was a member at Times Square Church.
But you didn't perform there.
I didn't do any comedy. No, I didn't do any
Yeah, I don't
comedy.
think so.
It was right down the street from Caroline's Comedy Club. But I didn't do anything there. But the people knew, some of the folks knew, you know what I mean? So yeah.
I only performed once in New York. I can't remember which club, but it was one time only, and it was always like I'm the LA comic. They can tell we're the West Coast LA comedians. I don't know how they can tell from the material. I think we're like softer, nicer, kinder.
Right.
Yeah, but but it wasn't. I was more like the at the improv and not even the store. I was more of the like you know the improv comedy clubs, the laugh stops, the laugh factory, but not the comedy. Even though I my second show ever was at the comedy store. Have you ever performed at the comedy store in LA?
You know what? I didn't do. Was it the Comedy Store? I think was it the Comedy Store? It was a place they called Chocolate Sundays, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's at the factory, I think. That's the
That's
Laugh
at
Factory.
the Laugh Factory? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
So,
think I did the Comedy Store. I
so
probably
what?
went in there, looked around.
What did you? What did you major in? I mean, when in college, what did you study, and what are you thinking? Like, I'm gonna do this full time.
I wanted to, you know what? And we'll get to this question because you had asked me the question earlier, and for some
Oh yeah.
reason, I kind of was like, I just had a moment, and I couldn't think of it. But I went to school for communications
Mm-hmm.
because of TV, video, and film, you know, and
Right.
I had a heart for that. Um, but yeah, that's why I went to school, which wasn't. I started out going to Borough Manhattan Community College, and then I transferred over to Bowie State University in Maryland, and I kind of stayed there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I kind of started doing a little bit more clubs, more churches, more events like that, which was interesting because, I have to say it, Nazareth, coming from New York, sometimes we have a little chip on our shoulders. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And you think you could just come in any place and have that type of chip, and that chip was knocked off my shoulder, and it was a humbling experience because I'm like, what is this? I kill in New York, and I can't be a mediocre person here, and this is unbelievable. What's going on here? But I had to readjust some things because not everybody can, like you said, there's a certain expectation when you're in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to bring so much of that energy in certain places. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of
Right.
relax a little bit. You're not scared for your life to be funny. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Nobody's gonna shoot you.
No one's gonna hurt you so you can kind of relax and take it easy, take your time, deliver the material, and you're cool. So I had to make some adjustments, and that's part of experience.
That's awesome because I heard several comedians like I think it was Kevin Hart and others that said like once you're new you have to be in New York to be good and all that, but that's not really true. I mean, but you're right. You have a little more edge when you start doing comedy in New York. And so when did you decide? Okay, so you're doing comedy and going, okay, I want to do film. I'm gifted with film or producing and all that. When did that start for you?
Well, that actually started when I was a kid. I was a little kid. Like I would play with toys. I would play with little cars, and the cars. See, most kids when they play with cars, like boom, boom, boom. My car had to flip at a certain angle and then land on the top, and you know what I'm saying, like in slow motion. So that's why kids didn't like playing with me. They didn't like playing with me because I'm like, no, 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 yeah, that's not the right way you do that. Okay, that's not the scene I wanted you to do that with. It has to go this way, and then I bring my car here. You know what I'm saying? I had a whole directing with toys and with Hot Wheels. I mean, come on now. So it was a movie with GI Joe figures. You know what I'm saying? So
I I
so
know.
that's how I kind of got into that.
You know what, Coy? This hit me when my son John, he's a film director right now.
Oh wow.
And when he was little, I mean, I tried to put him in sports and he hated it, but he wanted to videotape everyone. And I thought, because, and he does editing, but when he was little, like let's say, he always, when his cousins and his sister there, he puts him in a play, and he said, okay, you dress, and he gives them outfits, and he puts them on certain locations, and he
Okay.
goes, okay, you stand here, and he does the blocking and all that. And I never thought of it till you just said that right now. I go, okay, so he was a director from the beginning, but I thought he was like more of a film guy that does editing and filming and cinematography. But you're right, so you did that when you were, so did you watch a lot of movies when you were little?
I did. I
Yeah.
watched a lot of movies, and then when I would come back from the movie theater, I would actually draw the scenes that I remember.
Wow.
I would draw the different different people that I saw, or if it was Star Wars, so I would draw pictures of the different scenes. I mean, I was heavily into films. I mean, I like movies. I like watching movies and all kinds of things and television. Even till this day, um, that's what I would do. And it was an exciting thing for me. And even till this day, even when we later talk about the Comic Genius show, I like, and even with my stand-up comedy, Nazareth, I just can't just do straight up stand-up. I have to add some sort of something different into it. I've got to
Like
add.
what? Give me examples. I haven't seen your show for a while, but what example of stuff that you have to add to the show, the stand up?
Like props. I'll have
Ah,
props. I'll act a scene out. What this person is like in a movie theater versus this person is in a movie theater. At one point, at one time, I would have I still have audio bites that I use to actually add volume to the jokes.
mm,
So I'll interact with audio bites, and if I have access to visuals, I'll use visuals. And there was even one time that this was before people had assigned seats to movie theaters.
uh huh.
So I would have the screen play the beginning of a film all the way into the movie when it starts, and I'll have someone in the audience that I'm holding hands with as if we're on a date. And the problem with couples is that if they get to the movie theater too late, they can't sit together.
Mm,
So the movie is actually playing in front of the people, and here I am acting this out with this random person in the audience, and we're trying to find a seat, and we're like, "Can I sit there?" You know what I mean? And people are laughing, and then I'm like, "I guess I'll meet you at the end of the theater," and then we sit separate places. But I wanted that to just add something different to just I mean, there's nothing wrong with just doing stand up, and I have jokes too that just stand up, but just to add something special and add that element of film, element of acting, element of props, I think
mm.
just kind of adds to what I do.
So what you do is like the audience come to the show. They start playing a movie, a little
Well,
bit
I
of
set it up. You know, you got to set
you
it up.
set it up. So
I
you
set
come in and then once you go, you sit there and then you go on stage, right?
Well, after I find a seat, and
Uh-huh.
then I'll go back on stage so the joke is over. You know what I'm saying? So I set it up like, here are some people. This is how people are at the movie theaters.
I
And then
see.
the movie will start playing, and then we're both walking like, we're looking and we're trying to point, "Is anyone sitting there?" Okay, nobody. All right, we'll just meet each other at the end of the movie. But now that there's assigned seats, that joke doesn't really. I'll have to go back in time and do a say like, "Remember when
Y-
we didn't
y-
have assigned seats at movie theaters and it
I
was so
remember
hectic
that.
to find a seat, and you with your date and you get there late and it's like this, and then I'll roll the tape and then
Nowadays I go to the theater and there's nobody there, but I had to pick assigned seats. I'm like, there's four people in the whole theater, and I'm afraid to move because I already chosen
I
my
know,
assigned.
because you don't know who's gonna want to sit in that seat. And like, hey, that's my seat. Okay, all right, I'll get up.
Let me ask you this, and it's just a thought, and I want the people watching, and I know Rita is with us, and she's very funny. She opened for me a couple times, and Lily is. I used to work with Lily a long time ago, and there's about 64 people because I forgot to go on Facebook and tell people we're on tonight. So, but anyway, we have to. They'll and probably in 5 or 10 minutes, boom, it jumps. But let me ask you this: do you think people can go and start thinking in a creative way? What did I like when I was little? I mean, you just encourage people. Like, what did I like when I was little? What were I into? Maybe that's what's the gifting that they have. Because in your case, God just gave you that gift from early on, and boom, you were aware of it and you continued with it, and now you do that. But and same with John, my son. But I'm thinking, what did people like when they were little? I don't know. For me, I know I was funny, but I never knew about stand up till I moved here. So I did not know I was going to be a comedian. I've always thought I'm going to be an engineer, like all my dad worked for a huge construction company. My brothers are engineers, my cousin. So, but I don't know if we played, but we wouldn't, this is interesting. I'll share that. I never shared this. We never played with guns, and we never played with violence and fighting and wrestlers, and we never done that. Even
Hmm.
though we're in the Middle East, people have this reputation, which is, like, oh, they're violent. No, there was not. We never played with that, with guns and stuff. So uh, it's very interesting that you say that you started early on directing movies and with your little with toys and when your friends come in. But when did you actually started doing that as far as directing or filming or producing?
When I was in college, we had opportunities to create a film, create a student film, student project. And that was my opportunity to really create a short. It was a short film, and it was basically based on the Mark of the Beast. It was based on the Book of Revelations, and that was my opportunity, Nazareth. And what's interesting is that um, it was an opportunity I had at it was kind of like a festival. And
Hmm.
certain festivals, they'll have like a fire truck, and then they'll have like a dump truck, for the kids to go in and look at it. Well,
Yeah.
and then this one over here had a military helicopter that you can sit in it. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, I'm gonna use that. So what I did was I shot the guy who was caught, and because he didn't take the mark, and then he had to actually run away, and he got captured. So now they were gonna put him in a helicopter. So I got in the helicopter. I was the actor, and I kind of had my head down, and I had my hands behind my back. And then I cut that scene, and I waited till the helicopter took off.
Oh, smart. And you video, yeah.
And I cut that in there.
Uh-huh.
So the students at school and my professor, they were like, How did you do that, huh? How did you do that? Like, were you in there? Was I was saying.
That's
So that was my first short film, and yeah, so that was it. And then the next one, because there was another guy in the class, and we were kind of competing against each other. And he
mm,
would do a lot of action movies, which were great. And I think he's in LA, still doing what he does. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna do a comedy. I'm gonna do a spoof.
okay.
And I did a spoof of all of these different. I mean, you love The Naked Gun, right?
Right.
So I was playing two different parts. So I was putting all of these different movies, all these different genres in this one funny movie. So
Uh-huh.
for example, Nazareth, say for example, the guy's like, he's like a gangster, and he's like, hey, you got a big price tag on your head, a very big price tag. So I would cut to the camera, and I would literally have a price tag on my head, and I would, and I take it off, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just making fun of spoofs and doing that thing. Oh man, that was great. And that film was like an hour and a half long, man. We really worked.
Wow. That's
It was
that's a
hard work. It
yeah.
was funny though. It was hard work.
Now,
So that's where it all began. And until this day, I'm still doing those type of things with short sketches though, stuff like that. And
let me let me take you right now because I wanna get to that the comic genius show that you've done and you're doing, and tell us all about that. How did that start? What is it about and all? Yeah.
Comic Genius show, let's just say I'm gonna say it's American Idol meets Last Comic Standing meets Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Mm,
It is a way to bring up and coming comics to the reality of what this whole stand-up game is really all about. It's just not about being funny, but
mm,
it's about knowing your history of comedians. And it's just also about knowing how quick you are and how witty you are on your toes. So
right.
there's various challenges that these comedians go through, and and it first started out during COVID.
Mm.
The comedians, as you know, Nazareth. I mean, you were busy because I remember being on one of your shows during that time. But other comics, they wasn't really familiar with the whole online thing or Zoom thing, so they were struggling. And I
Hmm.
said, you know what? I want to do something different. You know what I'm saying? I want to entertain folks. So I said, let me call a few people and see if they'd be interested in being in this competition online. So it just became an online thing, and I would get judges such as Bone Hampton,
Oh yeah.
a lot of the comedians that are very seasoned, and also get some producers as well, people that can actually be producers in other projects and things. So they would come on, and then we would have a blast, and we would have a one game called Props in the House. So they would have to run, and they would only have 1 minute to find a prop in their house and make it funny.
Mm.
And that was
Okay.
part of the challenge. And that's how it all began. We're on YouTube, so if your people can go on YouTube and look up Comic Genius Show,
Uh-huh.
we have all the episodes that we did virtually, and we recently did live video tapings of the Comic Genius Show once the COVID thing lifted off.
So
Nazareth, we
how is
went
that?
live.
How did that happen? I mean, the live show. How did that come to?
Well, big shout out to Dell. Dell is my partner in this. He's the co-creator, co-producer in this, and we're both executives, but we call each other co. So he's very techie. I'm talking about he's like the master tech.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So he knows all about the cameras and all about this. I know more about the comedy. I know about who I want as the judges. I want who I want as the comedians. I know what questions I'm going to ask them, all that stuff. So I'm more of that.
Mm.
So he was like, I can't wait to go live with this. And I says, really? He's like, yeah. So he had his whole camera crew. We had like 5 different cameras. Um, and we had a switchboard operator. We had the audio guy. I mean, it looks really cool. It looks really clean.
That's
And
great.
we're hoping to take it to market. And matter of fact, he's in a meeting as we speak. Keep us in prayer to a
Oh,
game show producer uh, that they're talking actually online and out in LA. So we're gonna see if this thing can really pick up and be something real for real comedians out there. And our show, by the way, Nazareth, we made sure that everybody was clean. You know,
okay, that's the best part. That's what's
made
missing right now is
use your radio edit. Use your TV edit. You only got 10 minutes, or 7 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever we decide. But even for the judges, some of the judges are secular comics, and we tell them too. And some of them might slip up, and we'll go back in the editing process and
yeah.
hit that pause button.
So how does that make it different than Last Comic Standing, for example? Like in people trying to be funny.
You got to see the show. You got to go to Comic Genius Show. Go to Comic Genius Show on YouTube. We've got some shorts that's gotten over 12,000 views. It's just different. I can't really explain it, but you got to go see it for yourself. And that's kind of the way we would like to pitch it, because there's already, I guess, IP with the whole Last Comic Standing. So we like to, pitch it with that, because people are more, let's
Familiar.
be real. Networks are more familiar with that, and it had a good track record. So we like to pitch it like that. But yeah, it's just different. I can't even explain it, but you have to see it to believe it. And I'm telling you, Nazareth, everyone who has been a part of this project, Gordon Douglas has been part of the project. A lot of other cats have been part of this project. They had a absolute blast, an
That is
absolute blast. It's so much fun. People are asked, the audience are like, when can we see the next one? The
that's
audience
awesome.
is like, I never knew that jokes were that technical. I thought you just went up there and told a joke. I didn't know it took more than that. You know what I mean? So now
Yeah.
the audience is learning, and they're appreciating what we do, because it's just more than just saying knock knock. These are not knock jokes. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's
So we're blessed to have people like Christian McCartney, who is in a live version, and he's doing really well. So a lot of these comedians that
yeah.
have come through Comic Genius Show has gone on to some major things, and they had a blast as well. So
That's
big shout out to them for trusting us.
That's amazing. You know, it's funny speaking of Last Comic Standing, and back during the 2007, 2008, when the market crashed, and I was teaching some comedy, and this 16-year-old came to me with her dad, and her dad said, "Hey, I want to connect with my daughter, and I think, we want to take your comedy class." And so she was very funny from the beginning, and her name is Taylor Tomlinson, and she spend the next 3 years just in the class, opening for me, going, doing events with me. Just as she was very funny, clean. And then she did Last Comic Standing, and then she won it, and she
What?
blew up. And now she's the the youngest female that have a late night show, Taylor Tomlinson, after Colbert show. So it's very interesting. That's why I was asking about Last Comic Standing. But
Wow.
and also Christian McCartney, he's just, I flew him a couple times to California and to Dallas, to Texas to open for me. He's really funny, and he's the guy that has a great potential right now. And
Absolutely.
and we're the ones that open the door, for them, because uh, I know Taylor went the other way, left the faith for that, but Christian McCartney really loves to keep talking about the Lord. And I want to ask you something, and you're the perfect person to ask me. If someone is watching right now, maybe they're not comedians, they're not interested in comedy and performing, but they said, "How can I be more creative?" Because you're very creative, and you work for the network right now, the TV station, and you're the creative guy. And how can be people be more creative, or how can they have some creative ideas?
Well, I would say the first thing is, and I had spoke about this at the LOLGCA. Big shout out to them, um, which is a gospel comedy conference.
Mm,
Uh, One thing I told, and this goes for anybody, the first thing is you don't want to be your own heckler.
mm,
You know, you don't
right.
want to be in your own heckler. You got to get out of your head, and you got to keep yourself around people that are like minded. You've got to be around creatives, and it can be very lonely, and it can be very depressing, and you could think that you're in your head. You just, don't listen to that heckler in your head. That's your voice. Don't listen to that voice. But what you need to listen to is that quiet still voice, and you have to really pay attention, because in that moment that could be what's going to set you apart, what's going to
Mm,
set you off. And it could be anything about maybe something that kind of makes you a slightly little upset, maybe because you have a heart for that. You know what I mean? And if you have
mm,
a heart for something, now you want to try to do something about it. Or if you have ideas about what somebody should do, then that could be something too. You know what I mean? If
mm.
people always coming to you to ask you about something, what are they coming to ask you about that seems to be reoccurring? That could be the very thing.
Wow, that's
You
very
know?
good. Let me repeat that so people can get it. If you're someone that people coming to and asking almost the same question or the same topic or the same thing they want to know, you know what? Maybe that's your thing to think about and see how you can, you know, what do you call it? Fertilize that and water it. No, that's not a good word. Fertilize it. I mean, you kind of like, look into it and see what you can do, how you can grow it, or how you can, on your part time. You don't have to be. Oh, I have a job. That's fine. That's fine. That's how it all starts. You start doing what you love to do while you're doing your job, and before you know it, that takes over and you quit your job, and now you're broke but you're creative.
Right, you're creative. And here's the other thing, Nazareth. One thing I learned, and this is what I learned. from some really good speakers. Big shout out to Bob Yates. He said to me, he says, even Al Hollingsworth, and he's out there in California. He has a program called Vertical Leap,
Mm.
and he'll always say, "Dream, dream again." Sometimes we forget about the dreams we had. You know what I mean? And we
Uh,
got to be able to feel free to dream again. Like it's okay to dream, and it's okay to understand that it's not too late to dream, and you could really find yourself saying, you know what, I've always dreamed of doing this. Well, maybe you can't do it fully, but maybe you know someone who's going in that direction and you can assist them. You know, maybe you can live vicariously through them, but have that same passion that they have. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that can do something for you, you
you're
know?
you're right, because when you think of people like Colonel Sanders, he didn't start his even his recipe till he was like, I don't know, 75 or something, or I don't know, till later. And people always say, well, I'm too old to start to dream again. Or
Mhm.
they can say, well, I'm a Christian, I can't be dreaming this dream. What do you say to that?
I say don't buy into it. Don't buy into it. I mean, look who dreamed. How many people dreamed in the Bible? You know what I'm saying? This,
You're right.
you know what I'm saying? These dreams, these visions, you know, that's prophetic. So, you know, we can't just think that, oh, you know, I want to dream to be an astronaut. Well, you know, I know that may not be able to. NASA might look at you and say, no, you can't. But go to the go to the museum or something. Work there.
That's right. That's a
Work at
good
the
one.
NASA. Work at the Smithsonian Museum with the spaceships and stuff, and learn about it. You know what I mean? There's just this other ways that you can do, but don't ever stop dreaming. Don't
Yeah.
ever stop dreaming, and just believe there's got to be a way to tap into that and really do something, you know?
That's deep, man. That Beverly Goodwin says, "Don't be a heckler in your own mind." Like you said dream, and dreams do come true. They do. You do. You know what? I've always wanted to be a comedian, and I'm doing what I dream of doing, and I love it. And sometimes you can see when you listen to the heckler in your head, like, "Oh, I'm too old to try this. I ought to start over with this, and to change my whole." You know trajectory of my career. But you're right, you're never too old for that, and that's you need to dream. And it's you said this, I've never heard that before. The Bible is full of people who dreamt, from
Mhm.
Joseph to others. They all had dreams, and that's wonderful. So tell me, so now with the network that you're working at. And by the way, do people, when you wear this, what do you call it, bow tie, do they call you "Salaam alaikum, brother"? Is that do they?
Hey, brother, you got any bean pies to go with that bow tie? You know, nah.
Now, do you do impressions in your act?
I do accents.
Accents, different
Yeah, I do
accents.
some Jamaican accents and things of that nature. I went to see the Bob Marley movie.
Oh yeah, I want to see that.
I went to see One Love, and I didn't know this, but a lot of Jamaicans were not happy about it because it wasn't a Jamaican that was actually playing Bob Marley.
Oh.
So a lot of them collectively did not go see the film because they're like, oh, they could have went to Jamaica, and I'm like, well, maybe they did. Like maybe they went to Jamaica to actually find and cast that part. You know, I can see them right now. They were like, you know what, you're good. I like you. You're the guy. We just need you for like at least 12 months. You think you can do that? Man, I got to work. I got to work. I got 15 jobs. You know what I mean? So it's like people just that's their culture. But I mean, I went to see it. It was all right. It was
Hey,
okay.
we saw the Karate Kid, and he was a Filipino. You know what I mean?
Hey, it's something special about Bob Marley. I can't
I love Bob Marley. Yeah.
it is what it is. But But yeah, it's I do accents, I do characters, I do impersonations, I do the Arnold Schwarzenegger. I gotta bring Arnold back. You know,
So, what is your creative process like as far as writing? When yeah, I mean, how often do you write? What is the ideal thing time when you feel creative?
Sometimes it just happens. You know what I mean? Sometimes I just get an idea that pops in my head, or there's something that I see,
Hmm.
and I'm like, "Ooh, that's good. That's a good one." Or I'm at church and I'm like, the pastor might say something like, That's a good one. That's really good. I might tweak that a little bit, but, no, but I'm saying my pastor, big shout out to Keith Battle, he's very funny. Um, he's in fact, he wanted to be a comedian and ended
Oh,
up he was called to be a pastor, but to me, he's like 80% comedy. Um, but anyway, yeah, my creative process, it just varies, Nazareth. You know what I mean?
mm,
Sometimes it just kinda hits me. Sometimes I'm in the shower and I like, "Oh my gosh, that's brilliant." Or sometimes I might see something, you know what I mean?
mhm.
Or I could be on an airplane and I'll come out the bathroom, right? Like I actually put this on Facebook and I came out the bathroom, but there was no, like everybody was gone, right?
On the plane? Uh-huh.
Well, not allegedly. It's
Mm.
just that nobody really, you know what I mean? I just had
Oh,
these,
that's the thought of
but
yeah.
it's a thought though, like what if, you know what I'm saying? So
And the
this
flight is still at 30,000 feet up.
what is that about? So that right there, to me, that's a short film. Like little stuff like that, it comes to me and I'm like, yo, what if, like that's crazy. Like, so those little bites kind of add up. And some of them are comedic, some of them are Jordan Peele-ish, some of them are just kind of an idea.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's like I think I did a short with COVID, and they were saying that it was allegedly in the toilet paper, and a lot of
Mm.
rumors were out at the time. So I actually did a sketch, and I'm looking, and I'm on the toilet, and I'm looking at the article with saying that it's in the toilet paper. So I don't know what to do. So the guy next to me puts his jacket over the stall. I grab his jacket. You know what I'm saying? Just, but it had to come from somewhere. It had to come from somewhere, and that's how ideas come. It's just I get the download, and boop, there it is.
That's funny. Susie said that was the Twilight Zone when you did the whole thing, when you get out of the lavatory and boom, there's nobody on the plane.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, but I
Mhm.
mean, we know that there was people on the plane, but I'm just saying that's just how it is sometimes. You just get those thoughts and ideas. That's how it
Th-
comes to me.
That's easy to do to film because you can tell the flight attendants, "Hey, before anybody comes in, let me just go in the way in the back and boom, film this." I don't know. They'll let you. They won't let me. I'm Middle Eastern. Right? Oh man, that is very very interesting. So let me ask you this: if a genie comes to you and said you have one wish or one thing, one dream I can make a reality for you, what would it be?
Does it have to be a genie now?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it doesn't matter. It could be an
okay.
angel of the Lord,
An
Gabriel.
angel. There we go. All right, an angel.
Yeah. Let's
Uh,
make it Christianize it.
That's what YouTube would do for you, man. YouTube will just make you think, question everything. A genie. No, but I'm telling you, man, there's a lot out here. Let's see. What would be my wish?
What
You know
would
what?
be a dream that you want to come true? I know you have several dreams. Maybe
I know.
stand up tour. Maybe it's a TV show. Maybe it's a film.
Oh,
Maybe it
I know
produces
what it would be.
what?
It would be a showrunner.
A showrun.
Yes,
You want to be a showrunner?
a showrunner.
Really?
I would be a showrunner. That's what I would want to be, a showrunner. Yeah, because
That's
I would want to produce other people. I want to
mm.
produce other projects for other people.
So you're not the guy that wants. You know what? I have to say this, and it might sound very selfish and very what do you call narcissistic, but it's not. I mean, I'm a stand-up, and because I'm a stand-up, I want to be the one on stage telling the joke, delivering, and getting the applause. And you're saying you're fine with not doing that. You're fine with making other people shine.
Yeah,
You're a
yeah.
better man.
There's people that have some brilliant stories that people need to hear. there's people that have some touching stories. I hear them. I'm like, wow, that would make a great movie. That would make a great TV series.
Hmm.
Folks got some really powerful, interesting, funny, as well as dramatic stories. And I'm like, wow, if I was a showrunner, I would be able to put them on. I would be able to make it happen for them. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Right.
And I think that's why the Comic Genius Show is what it is because here's an opportunity for people, even old school veterans, to really give some good advice to these up and coming comics. I mean, why keep it to yourself? They can share and give them the real hardcore brutal truth that they won't get anywhere else. So this is a great opportunity for anyone to come through the Comic Genius Show.
Now, you
And
said something earlier before the show when we talked about the Comic Genius show, and you said now you're starting to have members of the audience being creative on the show. How is that? How is that?
so we just recently did a pre-Mother's Day comedy game show. It was actually a comedy game night. So basically in the Comic Genius Show, and like I said, go to YouTube, check it out, Comic Genius Show, subscribe. The audience had an absolute blast. They got the peek and see what we're thinking. They got to peek and see the process of what we go through
Mm,
and got to see the games and the challenges. So I said, you know what? What if what if we put these audience members to the test? What if we put a whole bunch of products out there and had them guess, make it funny. Give them an object and see if they can make it funny. Let's give them some trivia. Let's give them, you know what I mean? And I
mm,
decided to let the audience in on certain games. Who doesn't like The Price is Right? Who doesn't like Let's Make a Deal? Who doesn't like, Press Your Luck? Who doesn't like these game shows, Split Second, Switch, all these games on the Game Show Network and other games? People like to play games. Let's talk about Uno. Let's talk about the board games. Let's talk about Pictionary. Let's talk about the games that we all love and play. Why
mm,
not put that in front of an audience? Of course, as creative as I am, I'm going to make it my own
mm.
and do some different twists and questions that's really just unorthodox. It's a lot of fun. You know what, Nazareth? I did it twice. Well, no, actually, I did it 4 times.
Mhm.
I did it for a church. I did it for an organization during Christmas, and I recently did Mother's Day. And we're going to have some more coming up. The audience are always saying to me, Coy, when is the next one?
Wow. This is funny you say that because during COVID, when COVID happened in March, I think 14th, and I started the show online called Live with Naz, the first few days, I was doing an hour, 2 hours and stuff. After a week or two, I ran out of material. I mean, just telling jokes. So I started asking the audience questions, and there's people I know. Lily and Rita were one of the people in the show almost every night. I mean, we did
Wow.
460, 68,
Woo.
69 shows, and they became the funny ones. I would ask a question like, "What's the worst name for a plumber?" And they would come with answers, and then we started, like showing a picture and said, "Hey, give me like a caption on that," and different stuff, and they were hilarious. Now these are not comedians, these are people who had no desire to be comedians, but they're funny, and everyone is funny, and that's what I believed, and that's how the show, yeah, did. So when you turn to the audience, sometimes they deliver.
And here's the thing, Nazareth. It's not scripted.
It's not scripted, no.
It's not scripted. This is complete. Just you can't write this stuff. You can't. This is naturally who they are. The audience is, I tell you, people yesterday, well, not yesterday, but when we did the show a couple of times, there was this one lady, she could not get not one answer right for the life of her. I'm telling you. And she was the life of she was the show. She literally was a show. So I totally agree with you. That's what makes it so fun are the people, the interaction with the people. And they get to win prizes and all that good stuff, if they get the correct answer. But if they don't, hey, it's all in fun. And I give them a chance, 1 or 2 chances to come back. It is an absolute blast. So what we do is we call it the Comic Genius Show Presents. And we do fundraisers. We come to churches. We come to different organizations. We're going to be doing something for the government, possibly in the future, because DC government is, it's all over here.
Yeah.
So just to really do team building and all sorts of things we can do with this. I did a Franklin Park in the federal park here in DC, and
Mhm.
that was a community event. There were kids, you know what I mean, that
Wow.
wanted to play. I would ask them, you have 35 seconds to name 5 Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they get to play as well. So it's a really, really fun time for everyone.
That's amazing. Now, how can people get a hold of you, Coy?
Yeah, they can email me at comicgeniusshow at
Comic
Gmail.
Genius Show at gmail.com.
Yeah.
So, comic, let's see if I did it right. Comic Genius, Genius show at gmail.com.
Yes, comicgeniusshow at gmail.com. They can email me, or they can definitely go to IG. We're on IG.
Okay,
We're on
what's your, is it Comic Genius Show?
and Instagram.
Comic
Yep.
Genius Show
Yep.
at
And
Instagram.
and we're also on Facebook, same name,
Uh,
and they can hit me in a DM.
Okay, perfect. It automatically put all of them at Comic Genius. So on Facebook, they put it on Instagram and others. Perfect.
I see
Perfect.
Lily over there. Charita. Hey, hey.
Lily, yeah, Lily and Rita, they're good friends, great fans, and I
Susie
love them.
Stevens. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. But I think if you guys want to really get an understanding of who we are and what we do, definitely Comic Genius Show
on
on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good
I
stuff.
can't wait to watch some. I watched one, but I watched with stand up and some judges and all that, which is interesting. But that's awesome. Well, you know what? You've been amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, I love, you really touched my heart when you said, I want to be a showrunner. I want to make other people shine. You don't see that a lot. And I appreciate you. And now I feel guilty. I feel horrible about
No, Nazareth, you've done a lot for the comedy community, man. You put Sizzle C on. Look, you reached out to me. You were like, "Who's you?" You told me to call you. What are you talking?
Thank you so much,
You
man. I
got me on your
appreciate you.
show, man. So I appreciate you, Nazareth.
Hopefully we can work together. I would love to come to Maryland anytime. Again, my family is from Maryland. I'd love to come in November. I'm gonna be speaking at a conference and a cruise in Newport, Virginia, on the probably the 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I have the weekend 9th and 10th open. So if there's a show, a church, or we can do something together,
Okay.
I would love to. Just let me know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, God bless you, brother. Thank you so much. Hang on there just one second. Well, well, guys, thank you so much for watching another episode where you can learn something. You can be, entertained, but also you can learn something. And that's the goal from every episode. I can't believe we've been 209 shows. Not once we had the same guest again. I mean, we only had Scott Wood, but Scott Wood was my first show, the comedian. But then he was doing a cook show, so we had him back as the host of the cooking show, and it wasn't for the same thing. But so far, so every single episode, there's something you can learn. Trust me, you can go back and watch them. You can subscribe, and also you can go to laughterforall.org and get your free tickets for our show in July 20th at the La Mirada Performing uh, Theater for the Performing Arts. Also on September, let's see, let's get it right. September 14th, we're going to be in north of Reading. We're gonna be doing the State Theater there. Another Laughter for All. It's gonna be free, so come down and see us in Red Bluff, California. All right. Thank you for watching, and keep my family in the Gaza Strip in prayer. Hopefully, things will stop. The bombing will all that will stop, and they'll have a way to either come out or just go back to normal life, which haven't been for the last 6 months, or no more, 7 months, almost 8. It's sad, but anyway, Love you guys. Thank you for watching, and reach out to Koi. Watch the show. There'll be more episodes coming up, and pray that they would get the network to do something like a game show style with them, and that would be awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Love you guys, and we'll see you next week. Okay. Good night.